bet you never seen a
Deep DISCOG dive.
on a horse before, cause you suck.
It's time for a new Deep DISCOG dive, which means it's time to see who won the most recent Deep DISCOG dive decision, which means it's time to see where Spoon landed, and I am happy to say that Spoon is no longer second to last. With that out of the way, I'll be running another poll for next month's dive. The link for that is in the description, and it'll be running until June 1st. Feel free to vote for as many artists as you want, or suggest artists that you'd like to see covered in the comments. Having just done a dive on Kanye, I'm looking forward to covering someone with a less complicated history. So who do we have for today? All right, let's talk about Tyler, the Creator.
First off, oh my God, can you let me do what I need to do?
Tyler Gregory Okonma. Born and raised in California. Even from a young age, he was drawn to music, teaching himself how to play piano, posting tracks onto MySpace, even making track lists for imaginary albums. In 2007, he formed the hip-hop collective Odd Future, which would go on to become one of the most well-known internet-based music outfits of the 2010s. Based on their prolific release schedule, their commanding visual sensibilities, being the launchpad for artists like Earl Sweatshirt, Sid from the Internet, Frank Ocean, and the ringleader himself, Tyler. I find myself in a pretty interesting place here. I'm reasonably familiar with Tyler's newer work. I even named Igor one of my favorite albums of 2019, but I'm not all that familiar with his older work. So this will be an interesting excursion that everyone will love and no one will hate. Tyler on his own has 5 studio albums to his name, plus a debut mixtape that's essentially considered his debut album. So let's start the session there.
So what'd you think of Tyler's first mixtape?
It's alright. It definitely isn't a throwaway mixtape, and Tyler already has a commanding grip, artistically speaking. I was also surprised at how the neo-soul sound that Tyler would later adopt is already appearing in spots on here. I was reading that Pharrell was a pretty big influence on him, and that influence is apparent the moment the second track starts playing. In terms of the sonic potential that it displayed, I get why it's held up by so many.
And, what'd you think of the lyrics?
Tyler's flows work. I think he has a solid grip on that too. Plus the raw aggression can certainly be captivating. You know, before we get into the lyrics, can we actually talk about Goblin first? So following the buzz from Bastard and Odd Future in general, Tyler released the classic video for Yonkers in February 2011 and his full second project in May of that year. And I'll give it this, it's a bigger budget version of Bastard. In turn, everything is amped up to some degree. The production, the track list, the subject matter. There's even a bit of a story. As the album goes on, Tyler kills everyone surrounding him, but it turns out at the very end that his therapist, Dr. TC, is actually his conscience, and he basically American Psycho'd the whole thing. That said, it's definitely bloated, it can drag on especially towards the end, and lyrically there just isn't that much ground that wasn't already covered on Bastard.
Hey Mike, it's me. How's it going? Uh-huh.
Oh look, it's our new recurring character, the elephant in the room. How's it going, Ellie?
Oh, pretty good. Hey listen, I just wanted to take a quick second talk about... And also... Oh, and don't forget the... You know, I'm all about that.
Well, I guess we better talk about that. First off, it's there. You can choose to enjoy his music despite it, but it's there. Tyler's early work is plagued by ample use of gay slurs and brutal depictions of violence, oftentimes towards women. In particular, NME found that Tyler used some kind of gay slur 213 times on Goblin. It's something that gets brought up often, even when discussing Tyler's newer work. A handful of times Tyler's commented on it, he said that he's not homophobic, he was just using gay slurs to provoke. There was also his response to Sarah Quinn. Sarah from Tegan and Sarah put out an op-ed detailing her problems with Tyler's lyrics, to which Tyler responded with this. For me personally, I'm in a place where these kinds of lyrics aren't aimed at me, so I can more easily distance myself from them, but I don't think that my perspective is the relevant one here, and I would totally understand why someone would feel blocked out from enjoying this music. And to bring it back to my impressions of these two records, I'm just not at a place where these kinds of lyrics do anything for me. The most charitable viewing I can give them is that they're musical commodifications of young male rage, whether Tyler's putting on a persona while he's doing it, or if he's just being himself. Tyler is certainly not the first musician to do something like this, and he will likely not be the last. And I know Tyler came from a difficult background, and I don't want to dismiss that experience, but if the defense of these lyrics is that they portray a smug teenager with justified yet aimless aggression and a limited understanding of the world around him, in between Goblin and his third studio album, Tyler and the rest of the Odd Future gang started their own Adult Swim show, Loiter Squad. I haven't seen much of it, but based on the clips I've seen, it looked like a perfect match.
So you just gonna bring me a birthday gift on my birthday to my birthday party on my birthday with a birthday gift?
Happy birthday?
He also started his own music festival, Camp Flog Gnaw, and in April 2013, he released Wolf. This wasn't too bad. With Wolf, Tyler opens himself up more, both emotionally and musically, and I think it's the best one so far. Now, to be clear, the same trappings that have plagued Tyler's work so far are here in some capacity, but they're less in your face than they were on, like, Goblin. And when he does turn his anger towards something, I find his portrayal of that anger to be far more compelling. For example, Answer is about his absent father, and I think it's the best song he's done on the subject so far, if not ever. Also, once again, Tyler experiments with a narrative in his music, this time about a love triangle. I wonder if we'll see that again anytime soon. There's even a conspiracy about how Wolf, Goblin, and Bastard are all part of the same overarching narrative. I'll leave that in the description if you want to check that out. To sum it up, Tyler's first attempt to branch out into actual human emotions that aren't rage is solid, and I'm happy he's starting to take strides towards his full potential. 2 years later, Tyler uploaded the first music video for his next album, released the album about 4 days later, and then performed songs from it live for the first time at Coachella 2 days after that. Cherry Bomb features the longest and most high-profile guest list a Tyler record has had so far. It's also the most stylistically diverse record he's made so far, from the nerd-inspired Death Camp to the R&B-influenced Find Your Wings and Effing Young to the brash distortion of the title track. For that reason, I think it's the best representation of Tyler's skill as a producer thus far. I also think it's a goddamn mess. It contains some of his highest highs, most notably whenever he dives into R&B, but also some of his lowest lows. Also, the mixing interests me. It's the combo of often buried vocals from Tyler and an abundance of low end that can make this record an outright fatigue. On a weird note, this one actually got me thinking about the other deep DISCOG dives I've done this year. The record as a whole reminds me of the overflow of Kanye's Life of Pablo, but it also reminds me of Steely Dan's The Royal Scam. They both reflect artists swerving into uncharted territory right before their following album established the sound they would become known for. For Steely Dan, that was Asia. For Tyler, over the course of July 2017, Tyler rolled out his next album with its release on the 21st, and very wow. The leap in musicianship between this and Cherry Bomb is monumental. The wide range of collaborators that join, the lush production throughout, Tyler's growing emotional intimacy arguably reaching its apex. On that last note, many people were taken aback by Tyler's lyricism on this. Firstly, because of just how great he was at communicating his emotions now. Reading the opening lyrics on Forward, it just got me thinking, like, this is the same guy who got banned from the UK? The other reason is what he was actually talking about. Among other things, that he's been kissing white boys since 2004. Plenty of ink has been spilled over Tyler's sexuality. I don't have anything new to add to this discussion, plus talking about famous people's sexuality just kind of weirds me out. So all I'll say is that I'm happy that this record reflects a newfound maturity in Tyler's work. The only thing that really holds it back for me is that the album as a whole can feel like it's wandering aimlessly at times, but I think it's just a matter of taste. It seems like the consensus is that this is his best album, and I totally get why that is. So Tyler finally released an album that capitalized on his full potential, and he followed it up with what I think is his best album yet. I'm sorry. I had to. Anyway. Tyler's most recent album is, to me, the culmination of everything he's done so far. The aggression of his first 2 albums, the introspection and narrative of Wolf, the production of Cherry Bomb's best moments, the musicality of Flower Boy, and the visual style that has been with him since Odd Future. An artist working at his peak, and I'm sure excited to see what he does next.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Sarah?
I'm not finished.
As I mentioned before, going into this, I was already familiar and a fan of Tyler's recent work. But this opportunity to dig back into his catalog, I think it's given me a better understanding and a deeper appreciation of his growth as an artist and creative. The aspects of his work that were focused on and grew as time went on, and the aspects that were thankfully left behind. If you want to get into Tyler's discography, I cannot recommend highly enough Igor and Flower Boy, plus Wolf if you want a palatable taste of his early work. Remember, the link to vote on the next Deep Discog Dive is in the description, so feel free to check that out, and feel free to let me know your favorite Tyler album or song in the comments below. Extra points if it's unironically the Grinch album.